Dear Customer of the Podcast returns. Hey, everybody, this is Sean. Some of you will recall a year ago or so, we had a short season of the podcast. I got a lot of feedback from that, and it seemed people really enjoy the loss prevention stories and some of the fiction stories. So we're going to lean into that this season. I also wanted to try to figure out a way to cheer everybody up. If you're listening to this podcast or watching this video, you've probably been shit on in the last 2 years. And just by chance, I am now able to share some of the stories that I was not able to before. So one of the segments I think you're really going to like is loss prevention versus YouTubers and kind of what happens behind the scenes when the stores can get a little bit of justice, a little karma for Dear Customer. I also wanted to let everybody know you can now get Dear Customer content on Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, even LinkedIn. So I hope you'll listen. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, LP Corner Part 2. So the woman leaves. We're like giddy and laughing and replaying the whole thing. So we decide if anybody else shows up that night, we're going to fuck with them. We're not going to play it straight. I don't know why. It was getting on till 4-ish in the morning. People would show up at the store. The manager got there at 6 a.m. So we had to last. No, it was like 5:30 a.m. So we had to last from like 11 till 5:30. That was the overnight. And then people were there. People would be out there. We didn't quite know how we were going to fuck with them. But one thing is that Jilly would run out and stand by that light pole that was like 20 yards away. And you couldn't see him coming from the other side. I walked by. I was like, plan was like one person was going to run out there and maybe like just start like yelling in the dark to scare the Dear Customer off from stealing the dirt in the middle of the night. We didn't know what we were going to do. But we had talked about like if the car looks dangerous, people get out and they have a machine gun, like don't do anything, even though it would look weird to the store manager why a bunch of stuff got stolen, even though we were there. But we could say like, oh, they look dangerous. We would have come up with something. So we're kind of waiting and horsing around. I really didn't think that anybody else was going to come that night. I didn't know if that was the woman who had stolen all the dirt from the year before, but you never know. Like somebody gets away with something, they do it again. So she might have been waiting the whole year for that one moment. So we see this shitty truck drive by like 3 times. So I'm hiding in the whatever kind of little area that's there. And then Jilly's standing by the light post because the truck is going back and forth and it's getting closer and closer. So we just wait and wait and wait. And then the truck comes up. Customer this time parks kind of sideways from where I'm standing. And then he hops out, comes over, and starts kind of like rooting through the dirt. He's looking for something specific, but it's dark. He like takes out his phone, fiddles with the flashlight. First he puts it on kind of like regular, and I can see him a little bit from there. Another older white guy. So he's like an old man. Another like late 60s guy. Skinny, kind of tall. He's fumbling around trying to read dirt packages and look at stuff with like the glow of his cell phone, and he's trying to find the flashlight. In the meantime, Jilly runs up and closes the door of his truck and runs back into the dark. So the guy's head trying to see, your flashlight on your phone, it's pretty good, but like it's pitch fucking dark out there. We're in the middle of a parking lot at 3:30 in the morning. And he walks over to his car. The truck is running. He opens it up and he's kind of like looking around and looking under. And I'm like, oh shit. My adrenaline is just going. My heart is just beating. I don't know where Jilly is. He opens the door again. So he's probably thinking like, there's nobody out here. It was the wind or something, You don't think that there's 2 guys hiding in a fucking plant shithole in the middle of a parking lot. So he goes back over there. He's got his flashlight. He's looking. He's got like a couple of things in his arm. Jilly, again, runs over there and closes his door and runs back. Now the guy knows that this isn't the fucking wind, but apparently wants all this stuff. He drops the stuff down. He goes over there. He's looking around. He opens up the door. He does something. He closes the door, comes back over, grabs a bunch of stuff, starts heading over to put it in his thing. When I step up and I'm like, hey, how's it going? He runs over to his truck, fiddles on the door is locked. He runs around to the other side, fiddles around the door, both doors are locked. He leaves the truck. He leaves us. He walks out into the middle of the parking lot. I'm like, hey, get back here. Like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Come back here. We're with loss prevention. We're security. Come back. So he's out there somewhere. We don't know where. We're with this truck and the thing. I get on my phone. I call the police. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. But Jilly's trying his truck. We could see he had locked his keys in the truck. We call the police. The dispatcher's like, what? Like, we're doing overnight security. We're in the parking lot. Customer came over here. Here's a license plate. They were going to steal something. We obviously startled them. They ran off. So within like 10 seconds, this cop car arrives. Cherry's going, the whole thing. And we figured that the guy was over there, but we couldn't see him. I could see a light up sometime, like he was on his phone too. It's female officer. I've never met her before because I don't normally work overnights. And she's like, hello? I was like, we're like this. Hey. Explain to her what's going on. We didn't exactly say that we fucked with him a couple times in the beginning, but we didn't exactly not say it too. And she got in her car and went over, got the guy, brought him back. He, of course, said he didn't want to buy anything. And it was pretty awkward, actually, because I didn't know if he was going to be like, well, they ran by and closed my door, or if he knew that we did that, or if, like, what he knew. And he was old, and he was super scared. The officer was worried that he was going to have a heart attack or something, because he was just, as one would be, out in the middle of a dark parking lot at 3-ish in the morning, stealing stuff, and then you get startled. So they had to call somebody else to get his keys out of his car. She didn't have the right equipment, so that was a while. So at the end, she has to leave, and he's still there with us while they're working on getting his keys out. We're all just kind of standing there as the sun's coming up. So that was our second person that night. So we didn't have any more action that night. Now I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger because we come back the next night and Jilly was all excited. He was all pumped up, really wanted to have fun with it. And he brought, I'll leave you with a cliffhanger for the next night, he brought the Scream mask. So if you don't know what that is, Google it right now. He owns it and he brought it. We'll talk about that next LP Corner.